A recent scientific achievement has astonished the world. For the first time in human history, scientists have brought back to life an animal that was thought to have disappeared forever from the Earth's ecosystem. The experiment, conducted at the intersection of genetic engineering, paleontology, and microbiology, opens up amazing possibilities for humanity. What once seemed like the plot of a science fiction novel is now an exciting reality. It's not just one lucky experiment, but a true revolution in biology that could change our understanding of extinction and provide the opportunity to bring thousands of species lost over millions of years of evolution back into nature. For the first time, humanity has a tool at its disposal that allows us to correct the mistakes of the past and restore the lost biodiversity on our planet. In early 2025, biotechnology company Colossal Biosciences announced a historic achievement: the birth of the world's first dire wolves, Inocean, a species that completely disappeared from the face of the earth about 12,000 years ago. Three healthy youngsters named Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi are the first members of their species since the late Pleistocene. They live in a specially protected ecological sanctuary in the northern United States, where a team of specialists monitors their condition and development around the clock. Many people know dire wolves from the popular TV series Game of Thrones, where they were loyal companions to the Stark family. However, not everyone knows that these majestic creatures have actually lived on Earth for thousands of years. The dire wolf was no ordinary predator. In prehistoric North America, these large, powerful animals were true ecosystem engineers, and controlling herbivore populations and shaping entire landscapes through cascading environmental influences. This species was an important link in the food chain and a key element in maintaining the natural balance. But how did scientists achieve the impossible? The resurrection of the dire wolf was the result of years of work by a multidisciplinary team of specialists. The first step was to recover DNA fragments from the fossil remains, a tooth about 13,000 years old and a skull estimated to be 72,000 years old. The company's specialists then created a reference genome for the dire wolf, thus reconstructing the complete genetic picture of the extinct species. A comparison of the DNA of the modern gray wolf showed that the two species are 99.5% genetically similar, making the task much easier. However, the main difficulty was finding the exact 0.5% difference that constitutes the unique characteristics of the gray wolf. Using advanced CRISPR technology and multiple gene editing methods, scientists simultaneously made about 20 changes to the gray wolf genome, converting it to the gray wolf genome. This is a record number of genetic changes ever to occur in vertebrates. After obtaining the modified cells, the next step was cloning, where the nuclei of these cells were transferred into the eggs of surrogate mothers, resulting in embryos using the genetic material of the gray wolf. After embryo implantation, the first dire wolves were born in 12,000 years. It is important to understand that the current white wolf cubs are only the first step in the ambitious project to revive this species. Major scientists openly admit that full genetic and physical identity with the original age wolves can only be achieved after several more steps of selective breeding and gene editing. As technology advances and new data from fossil specimens becomes available, the team plans to make further modifications to subsequent generations. The current generation of dire wolves has about 20 major genetic changes, but experts believe as many as 50 or 60 changes may be needed to fully restore the original species. With each new generation, dire wolves become more similar to their Pleistocene ancestors, their anatomical features, physiology, and behavior becoming more refined and refined. This gradual approach allows scientists to carefully monitor the effect of each genetic change and avoid unexpected consequences, making the entire process more controlled and scientifically sound. The large ecological reserve housing the revived predators is equipped with the latest technology and covers more than 2,000 hectares. The area is surrounded by a 3-meter-high fence, equipped with surveillance systems, and patrolled by drones to ensure the safety of animals and staff. The sanctuary is accredited by the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, ensuring it meets the highest standards of animal welfare. Natural habitats have been created here where animals can live out their natural instincts. There is also a special area with a veterinary clinic for monitoring and care. As they grow, pups go through all the normal stages of wolf development. In the first weeks of their lives, they take unsteady steps and sleep a lot. At about 1 month old, they begin to grumble, chew on hard objects, and explore the area outside their den. At 3 months of age, the socialization phase begins. They are gradually weaned off milk and encouraged to play together so they can develop their herd instincts. By 5 months of age, the pups had grown significantly and had begun to establish a hierarchy within their group, engaging in playful fights that helped establish group rules. The Colossal Biosciences team says the result exceeded all their expectations. Not only are the revived dire wolves healthy, they also exhibit normal behavior and develop in line with the expected characteristics of their species. Adult wolves are expected to be much larger and stronger than modern gray wolves, around 60-70 kilos compared to 35-45 kilos for the average wolf. The long-term plans for reintroducing the gray wolf are well thought out and impressively ecologically justified. Colossal has developed a phased strategy for the return of these animals to natural ecosystems, spanning several decades. At the initial stage, wolves are kept in a protected reserve under the strict supervision of specialists. This allows scientists to study their behavior, health, and ability to adapt. In the second phase, several larger natural habitats will be created where wolves can form packs, learn to hunt, and interact with some potential prey. These ecological islands will allow scientists to assess the impact of predators on local ecosystems under controlled conditions. The company is already negotiating with landowners and government agencies to allocate suitable areas in several states. The third phase, planned for the 2030s, will see the first experimental releases in carefully selected wilderness areas where wolves can occupy an ecological niche similar to the one they have for thousands of years. Particular attention is paid to areas where modern ecosystems suffer from overpopulation of herbivores due to a lack of large predators. In such places, resurrected wolves can assume an important organizational role. Colossal experts emphasize that all releases require comprehensive environmental analysis and modeling, and that the process itself is conducted under strict scientific oversight. The company actively works with local communities, environmental organizations, and representatives of indigenous peoples to consider all social, cultural, and environmental aspects of resettlement. Particular attention is paid to the interaction of dire wolves with modern predators such as gray wolves and pumas. The analysis shows that these species can coexist with minimal competition, as they did in the past, thanks to differences in size, hunting strategies, and prey preferences. In addition, the return of the dire wolf could help restore natural balance in ecosystems where human activities have disrupted natural regulatory processes. The resurrection of the dire wolf is just the beginning of Colossal Biosciences' ambitious anti-extinction program. The company is also working on reviving the woolly mammoth, the Tasmanian tiger, and the flightless dodo. For the Mammoth Project, Colossal has already created meat rats, genetically modified rodents with some mammoth-like characteristics, including thick golden fur and adaptations for survival in cold climates. This was an important intermediate step before processing the elephant cells. The company plans to produce its first giant calves by 2028. The Tasmanian Tiger Revitalization Project is being implemented in collaboration with the University of Melbourne. This carnivorous marsupial, native to Australia, became extinct only recently, in 1936. Thanks to well-preserved specimens, scientists were able to sequence the thylacines genome almost completely. The project exploits the unique advantages of marsupial reproduction. The offspring are very small and can be raised in an artificial environment that mimics a pouch. In addition to projects aimed at reviving extinct species, the company also applies technologies developed to save animals at risk of extinction. A good example of this is the red wolf, one of the rarest predators in North America. There are fewer than 20 individuals in the wild, and all captive populations are descended from a very small number of founders. Colossal has cloned several red wolves from frozen samples that are genetically different from existing ones, increasing the species' genetic diversity and improving its chances of survival. George Church, co-founder of Colossal and professor of genetics at Harvard Medical School, compares de-extinction to the moon program in biology. Even if not all attempts are successful, he believes the technologies developed will be useful for biodiversity conservation, medicine, and other fields. The wolf is an early example of the largest number of precise genetic modifications ever achieved in a primate, the scientist said. Ben Lamb, Colossal's second co-founder and CEO, highlights the global environmental context. We're not just in a climate crisis, but also a biodiversity crisis. By some estimates, half of all species alive today could disappear forever by 2050. Our goal is to make species extinction a thing of the past. However, the project has also faced criticism from some scholars. Skeptics point out that the created creatures are not true gray wolves, but merely genetically modified gray wolves with some traits of their extinct ancestors. They may have created slightly genetically modified wolves, and that's probably the best thing you can do, one paleontologist said, expressing doubt. Does that make them real wolves? No, they're just slightly modified gray wolves. Another problem is genetic diversity. To create a stable population, hundreds or even thousands of individuals with sufficient genetic diversity are required. Otherwise, inbreeding quickly leads to degeneration. Colossal responds that it is aware of this risk and is already working to find a solution. In the case of the wolf, cells were originally edited from several different donors to ensure genetic diversity, and the company plans to continue producing new animals with different genetic traits. Despite the criticism, most scholars and the public received the news of the wolf's resurrection with great enthusiasm. Some even compare this achievement to the first steps in space exploration. Manned spaceflight once seemed like science fiction, but now it's a reality. The same applies to extinction. Yesterday it was science fiction. Today it is a revolutionary project. And tomorrow it will be common practice in biodiversity conservation. The project has received particular support from the Native Americans of North America, for whom the dire wolf holds cultural significance. The return of the dire wolf is not just a biological experiment, said Mark Fox, chief of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. Its birth symbolizes an awakening, the return of an ancient spirit to our world. And the uniqueness of the dire wolf revival project lies not only in the fact that an extinct animal has been brought back, but also in the range of new technologies developed in the process. These technologies, from ancient DNA extraction and analysis to multiplex genome editing and improved cloning techniques, will find applications in many areas of science and human endeavor. In addition, the de-extinction project raises important philosophical and ethical questions about the role of humans in the biosphere. In the past, the extinction of species was considered an irreversible process, but now humans have the opportunity to intervene in this process and restore what has been lost. At Colossal Biosciences, this is seen as a moral imperative for humanity. We are part of the planet's evolutionary flow. We are connected to every other species. And since we have the power to shape the world, we must also bear the responsibility to correct our past mistakes. To achieve its ambitious plans, Colossal has received impressive funding. Total investments amount to $435 million, and the company's valuation has exceeded $10 billion. Investors include major venture capital funds and well-known figures, from Hollywood stars to technology entrepreneurs. This confirms the great interest and belief in the potential of anti-extinction technologies. In 2024, the company also established the Colossal Foundation with a $50 million endowment to fund environmental conservation projects, education programs, and engagement with local communities. This demonstrates the company's serious intention to contribute to the preservation of biodiversity, not only through advanced technologies, but also by supporting traditional methods of nature conservation. The Dangerous Wolf Reintroduction Project is just the first step on the long road to restoring the Earth's lost biodiversity. What awaits us is the return of other species, the improvement of technologies, and the creation of conditions for the reintroduction of revived animals into their natural environment. Perhaps in the future, humanity will be able to restore entire ecosystems lost to past extinction events and restore the planet to its natural wealth. As for dinosaurs, science does not stand still. Technology is advancing so rapidly that we will soon be able to look not just thousands, but millions of years into the past. It seems that the dream of seeing live dinosaurs and velociraptors is just a matter of a few decades of technological advancement. The resurrection of the dangerous wolf is a symbol of a new era in which science gives humanity the opportunity not only to destroy nature, but also to restore it. This is an opportunity to correct the mistakes of the past and create a more harmonious future where people use their knowledge and technologies to preserve the biodiversity of our planet. As one colossal scientist said, "The idea of being at the forefront of developing a tool that will help solve our biodiversity crisis is the most exciting idea I've ever had.